Okay, there's a blade I've chalked out, and then I torched it out with a cutting torch rig, and I've done a little test after I did that. Heated this piece up right here to cherry red, and then I quenched that in water, and I put that in a vise to see if it would snap. It did exactly what I thought, so I've got a good hard metal right there, and I'll take you through the steps of reheat treating this blade after it's been profiled. There's a couple different ways you can grind your blade. That's a 2x72 that my brother and I made right there, and it's absolutely a great machine. I've been using it over 25 years. That's one way. Here's another piece of equipment. It's a ball door buffer actually, but I've got a 12-inch cutoff wheel on it and a pedestal right there. And if you just want to get started making a few knives and don't have much shop equipment, something like this will get you started. Always use a good breathing mask, a respirator, or a cotton mask anyway, and make sure you got your goggles on when you're doing your grinding. But you can profile that whole knife blade with a setup like this. It's mounted on a car wheel. That's a heavy piece of, well, it's a pretty thick piece of pipe. It's got enough weight that it stays right in place. Okay, I've got my Bushcraft knife kind of roughed out, cleaned up, knocked the slag off of it yesterday, straightened the blade, and then I heated the tang up to cherry red, and took a pair of vice grips on this end and stuck that right down in the bag of lime over there, and that allows the blade to cool real slow so I can drill some holes here in the tang. Now I lack a little bit having this shaped up the way I want it. I'm going to drop the point a little bit, and then I'm going to knock a little bit off the belly, and at that point it'll be just about ready to hammer the edge on right here. And I'll do that by heating this blade up and then hammering the edge down thin, and then it will take some dressing on my 2x72 to kind of grind an edge on there. You can actually you can actually hollow grind with a wheel like this. It won't be super like it won't be a show knife or anything, but it'll sure be a good using bushcraft knife. Got a little lightweight Victor torch here that I'm going to use for heating this knife blade up, and I'll go ahead and get this going. This makes a nice neutral flame. It'll be good for heating this small bushcraft knife up. And I'm going to hammer an edge on this blade, and I might as well get started here. I've got my Bushcraft knife clamped in a pair of vice grips here, and what I'll do is just start heating my blade edge there. It'd be good to go from either the backbone of the blade or the edge itself. If I like heat one side or the other, it will tend to warp the blade. Once you get going, you got to go with it, because the anvil's going to pull the heat out of your blade there. And once it starts cooling down, you've got to stop or you'll crack the blade. Takes you a few minutes to kind of get your heat built up like you want it. Once I get this edge hammered on here and get my name stamped in there, go back and check to make sure the blade's straight. Then I can heat it and straighten it. If it's arched in one way or the other. Once that's done, I'll clean the entire blade up and grind an edge on there, and then I'll come back and heat this edge up just about like it is right now, and then quench it in olive oil. I've got a stainless steel pan there with olive oil in it, and that's what I like to use for quenching my blades. Kind of reshaped the blade a little bit when I hammered it out. That's okay, I'll fix that on my belt sander. I come back and straighten this edge up here, and I'm going to drop the point down just a little bit right there at the end. I need a good sharp point on that so I can cut into things. And I'll tell you about how I drilled the tang holes out. The one at the very back in the very front are 1/4 inch diameter, but before I did that, I used a 1/8 inch drill bit and punched a center punch hole there, and then came in and did my pilot hole with that 1/8 inch drill bit. These two side holes here are 7/32, and like I said, the end and the front are 1/4 inch. And then after I got those drilled, I came in with a 3/8 inch drill bit and just lightly chamfered those holes, and then I came back with a round file and deburred that on the inside, and knocked the burrs off of it. I really like the profile of that. I almost like that swooped up look right there, but I need to drop that point just a little bit and bring this edge back just a little bit, and then I'll put some flat grind on it. See, I've got it laid back enough that you can get that down on a wet rock and you'll really be able to get your blade sharp. So I'll clean this up a little bit on my belt sander, and also on my abrasive wheel on that grinder over there, and it'll be time for heat treat after I'm satisfied with the profile of that blade. Okay, continue with our bushcraft knife making here. Pretty well got a thin edge hammered onto this knife, and what I like to do now is I've marked my dividers at 5/8 of an inch. I'm scribing a line right there on both sides. And what I would like to demonstrate is how you can actually put a grind in here with this wheel. I realize that not everybody has a 2x72 inch, and anyway, that's why I'm doing this demonstration. Okay, I got my mask on now, and I'm going to give you a view there of the back side, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm grinding there. Put my gloves, I got my breathing mask on, and what I'm going to do is here, I don't know if you can see that line or not, but I've got the line scribed 5/8 of an inch up. I don't want to go much past that, and you can develop a feel for doing a grind like this. Just try to make even strokes and just slide it along on your pedestal. I've got 2 grinds in there, now I'll do another one. So when you're satisfied with what you got, it's a good quitting place. You can stop and I need to surface this whole thing with a just hit it real lightly with an 80 grit and then a 120, and then it's going to be time to heat treat the blade. So I'll heat it up cherry red and quench it in olive oil. Put the grind in the blade, and then I came in with a 80 grit belt, kind of hit that, and then got off of that and went to a 120, and then kind of slicked it up with a 320 sanding belt. You can do that by hand, but it takes a long time. A belt sander is the best way to go, at least a 1x42 or something like that, and use 80, 120, and 320. Now this blade is ready to heat treat now. You can see my maker's mark in my town there. I've deburred the holes here and rounded the edges a little bit because this handle will be wrapped with a parachute cord. And there's a number that was on the lawnmower blade itself. And here's something pretty neat, unique. At the back here it says Zoo, and that kind of fits my program. That's pretty keen. So anyway, I'm ready for heat treat, and what I'm going to do now is heat the knife blade area up to cherry red to its non-magnetic, and then I'll quench it in olive oil. So that's what I'm fixing to do right now. And I'm going to have some more details about the entire process of making this Bushcraft knife over at my website, Bushcraft Max. Once I quench the knife in olive oil, I've got a little toaster oven that'll work just perfect for this project, a small knife like this. The blade measures 9.5 inches overall, and I can set this stove at 450, which is the perfect temperature. I didn't make that blade turn out a straw color, and leave it in there for 1 hour and just turn it off, and then my knife will be heat treated, and then it'll be ready to clean up a little bit and finish up. Now time to harden the blade. As you remember at the first, when I heated the blade and stuck it in the lime so I could drill the tang, well, that softened this metal. Now it needs to be reheat treated, and I'm going to use this acetylene torch rig and just slowly bring it up to a red hot till it's non-magnetic, and then I'll quench that in this pan of olive oil right here. It's nearly to the top with the oil, and once I stick this blade down in there, I will just let it set and not move it sideways. I don't want to warp the blade one way or the other, and I'm applying my heat to the spine of the blade here, and then I'll lightly hit the cutting edge part till this all gets a cherry red. Shortly after I get this heated up and quenched, I will clean the blade off, clean the oil off of it just slightly, and then I'll stick it in my toaster oven for 1 hour at 450 degrees. Okay, I'm going to I'm kind of soaking this in some heat right here, and I've got a magnet right over here behind me. I'm going to check that when I think it's about right, and then I will put the blade in the oil. Okay, about got it. Okay, I checked it this time. Here goes. Okay. Okay, got that quenched. Let that sit there for a minute. Clean it off and put it in the oven. Then we'll take a look at it after I pull it out of the oven. I'm pleased with the way the blade turned out there. I just pulled it out of the oven, let it cool off a little bit, and that's the straw color that I wanted. And now it's tempered pretty close to the way I want it. I may come back with my heating tip on my torch, keep the cutting edge submerged in water, and kind of soften the back to make that a little more of a durable knife, and turn it like a spring steel color, a bright blue, and that'll make that a long-lasting knife that'll be very durable.